us with our technical interruptions. All right, so as you know, my name is Joanne Castano, and I'm going to be going over overcoming emotional challenges. Anybody deal with those things at all, ever? Maybe? Yeah? Okay, good. All right, so what I want to do is I'm just going to go over a little overview. We have a little bit of time, so I'm going to go over a few things, but these are going to be very powerful things that you can apply to your work and personal life. Okay, we're going to go through an exercise. Excuse me, we're going to go through an exercise, and we're going to use the most of this time. All right, so top triggers for business owners. Okay, I'm going to cover a couple of those, and then we're going to help you how to identify those triggers. That's going to be one of the most important things, because can you change what you can't see? No, you definitely can't do that. So that's what we're going to start. We're going to start with awareness first, and then I'm going to go over some tips to overcoming them. All right, and it's going to be a few, but I'm definitely going to give you my contact information so you guys can reach out to me for any further questions, and I'll be giving some one-on-ones available if you have any questions moving forward. Yes, no problem.
You're allowing us to take a picture of the slides.
You may, if you'd like to take a picture.
For me to take notes.
Sure, it's not going to be a bunch, but you may. Okay. All right. I'm going to do most of the talking. This is just for visual aesthetics. Okay, so a little bit about me. As you can see, right, this is a really good picture of me. I wanted to just kind of let you know what led me to be an emotional health coach. So I, like almost every human being, have been triggered emotionally, but I had a background, and I had a background that I didn't know that I had. So basically, I grew up in a lot of adversity, and then I went through multiple traumas growing up in my life that actually affected how I showed up in my life and how I reacted to things in my life happening. And one of the main things that drove me to this work was when I had to go through a big life transition of separating from the father of my children. And I realized I have to value myself more than this relationship, and any taboo of, breaking a home, and I didn't have family. I'm originally from Jersey, but I've been in California for 15 years. But I didn't have any social support except for some small communities that I was involved in. However, I was like, I could do hard. What I need to do is get out of this environment. Environment was a big deal for me. So, pardon the noise. We won't be dealing with that too much longer. But I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself emotionally, because I saw that in that transition was very difficult for me emotionally to kind of manage life. And then I had 2 small children that I was not emotionally available for, and I just could not have that. So I had to decide really in that moment, like, what do I want to do for myself? How do I move through this? How do I deal with everything that I'm holding? Because it just felt like too much. And I felt like I was stuck and I couldn't move forward. And there's a few of you here that know me, know that being stuck and stopped is not part of my MO. So I had to get in action. So that's what led me here to this, to become a emotional health coach. I realized on my journey for healing how I wanted to support myself. I started to support others, and because I have a background in personal development training and other coaching certifications, I could help people as well. And I started first with Reiki, actually. And I realized people deal with more than just their body and their energy. They're dealing with emotions just like me, and they needed the similar resources. And so I started to transition my Reiki business into a combination of Reiki and coaching. And then I went into neuro-linguistic programming because I wanted to teach and learn first what Tony Robbins knows, and I wanted to support people on how to reprogram your subconscious mind, because I realized a lot of these stuck memories or decisions that we make impact how we show up in our lives. So that's what led me here to all of you. It's become a mission of mine and a passion of mine to really help people that are feeling stuck in their lives, because to me, stuck is also suffering. And suffering is something that we actually do have some control over. And a lot of times we don't know how. And I want to show you a couple ways to do that tonight, okay? All right. So we're going to go to the next one. So, who here partners with overwhelm? Show of hands. Any time of the day, several days a week. Or how about stress? Yeah, right? How about triggers? What do we know about triggers? Can anybody just call out if you know anything about triggers, or if you have a common trigger that you know kind of shows up? Go ahead.
It's super silly, but when I'm speaking in front of people and I see somebody that reminds me of my dad, I just get really nervous.
Yeah, okay, so maybe...
I love my dad,
you
know, my dad,
right, so it could be authority, right? Like authority, ooh, here comes the boss, right? Oh, we're gonna have a meeting with the CEOs, or, or in your own business, I have a meeting with a big client, and that could bring up stuff for you, right? Great, anybody else?
I can say for my sister, when she talks about her brother-in-law, her watch goes off, her heart rate goes up.
Oh, wow. Well, then we have these new watches that kind of tell us what's going on, right? Wow, so we see like it can, and that's actually something that really does happen. People sometimes start getting clammy, get clammy hands, the heart rate goes up, they get anxiety, all of these things get triggered up. And we think, oh, it's just anxiety, and then maybe some medication will help that. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's a deeper core issue. And how do we get to that? Anybody heard of how to get to your deeper core issues that give you anxiety anywhere? In a magazine? It's kind of hard. They don't teach us this. They don't teach us in schools. They don't teach you this in sometimes even business trainings, any of this stuff. This is why it's important for us to know this. And also in colleges. I mean, I've been to college 3 different times for 3 different things, and I don't remember any of this. So this is another reason why it's important to be able to identify not only these main ones, especially because these are the main causes of impact in your productivity. So have anybody ever been stressed or overwhelmed and decided to just distract themselves with shopping, maybe? What are some of the ways that you like to distract yourself? Show of hands. Anybody want to speak? YouTube? Eating? You can call it out. Say it again. Social media. Your hand was raised back there. Charge ahead, right? Sleep. You had your hand raised up back. What is it? Cleaning. Anybody go on dates? Maybe let's just go on a date. All right, let's just swipe left or right. So these things impact productivity, and not because we're here to be machines to produce, right? But because you have goals, and those goals require you to be focused. He was just talking about that earlier, right? How we can get distracted in what we're trying to focus on, but we think, I need to learn how to focus. No, sometimes you have a trigger. Your boss walks in, or your father shows up unannounced and you're in the middle of something, or I have 2 little kids, they're in a fight, we got to deal with that. So having an idea of how to manage what are these stressors and how they impact productivity, because productivity for business owners also impacts your bottom line, impacts how you show up for people, and also how you show up for yourself, which is the main important thing. How many here are like single sole proprietor businesses? Yeah, if you don't show up, what happens with the business? Nothing happens, right? Nothing gets done. You don't show up for the call, so we can't have that. Now, we can acknowledge and take time for ourselves, for sure. But overall, if we keep running into these same triggers and we feel stuck and stopped, then our progress is not as fast, and then our own morale gets low. And then we think maybe we should be doing something else. And I say no. I think you should be continuing to do what you're working so hard to do. Let's just free you from some of that suffering. Okay? All right. So we're going to go here. So these we're going to talk about trigger loops, okay? But these are some of the effects of being unconscious to your own loops. So a lot of times when we're triggered by one of those top three, or let's say dad walks in, or any other thing, what happens is we go through different experiences. Everyone has their own. And these are some of the, I say unconscious because we're not consciously aware that this is happening. We just think, sometimes we don't even notice that we're not breathing. We're taking short breaths, or we're holding our breath because we're just trying to charge through and get this work done, right? And it's counterproductive sometimes to what we're doing. Sometimes what we need to do is actually stop and rest. It could be self-sabotaging because if we're triggered, we can have a moment where our body can go into what's like a protective mode. So you could get sleepy. Have you ever I'm not sleepy, but like you keep yawning and you feel tired, like lethargy just comes at you out of nowhere. Your body's trying to shut down so you could stop. And that can be a physiological response. So we can work on our psychology, but our physical being can remember things as well, just like our brain does. And our body can react to certain things, and we could be unconscious to it, thinking, oh, it's something else, or I don't know what's going on, just in the unknown. And we don't like to be in the unknown, especially when it comes to how it's affecting us and our goals. I speak that for everyone. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so we can also be in repetitive cycles, aka a pattern when the trigger gets set off. So what we're going to go through is a whole loop, and you're going to identify what that pattern is for you. We're going to do an exercise where we get paired sharing together. But what happens is you get into a loop and you cycle, and that's why people are like, I feel stuck. It's like you keep hitting your head against the same wall and you don't know how to get out of it, but you want support, except most of the time, guess what? People don't talk about their emotional triggers because there's shame, or there's embarrassment, or you might not have the right person to talk to about it. So then we have that keeps limiting beliefs and decisions at play. So there are times where we have actually made a decision about something. Oh, boss equals scary. For example, he's always mean, or he doesn't like me, or we make up determinations, meanings of things, or we make up a decision that maybe we forgot that we made. We made it at 7 years old, and now we're 43 trying to figure out why I feel like the same kid again, And it's because they keep at play, which is why the subconscious reprogramming comes in as we work into the deeper core of the issues. So, and it also induces mental, behavioral, emotional, and physical suffering. So it affects your mind. People could think, how many people have ever ruminated on something over and over and over again, and then you're like exhausted and you're like, I did nothing. All I did was think about something all day long and nothing happened, right? And then we have behavior where, we think, I'm a procrastinator. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you just have a particular behavior that follows a particular pattern every time you get triggered by a particular thing. It has nothing to do sometimes with procrastination, because you clear that issue, your productivity, your motivation, your energy can shift just like that. But you have to clear it first. And you can't clear what you can't see, right? So that's what the awareness is going to bring. And then emotional, we can have reactions to people, or we can go other behavioral blaming. And then we have physical suffering. How many people have ever had a physical issue that no doctor can figure out what's the problem? And you got to go to people like Karen to help you with something a little bit deeper, with some herbal or Ayurvedic medicine, or you go to functional medicine, or you try acupuncture or acupressure, and these kinds of things will continue to. Sometimes when you can clear, this is why I also do Reiki, when you clear something in your mind and then you clear something in your spirit, meaning, oh, I realize that I need to have a deeper connection with myself, my physical self, my being self. And then you also work on these physical blocks. So the body keeps, everybody heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score? the body can hold memory and it holds blocks. Sometimes trauma is stored in the body, in our neck or in our shoulders or in our lower back, for example. And those things can keep reoccurring as you keep getting re-triggered. So some incidences, if we've never worked on trauma, if you've never been to a therapist, or maybe it wasn't part of my culture growing up. I don't know about anybody else in the house, right? You just didn't do that. And so you didn't know what you didn't know about how to take care of yourself and how to take care of your inner being, so that you're out, like the thing that you exude, whether it's your passion work, whether it's your love to your children, whether it's your love to your coworkers or the staff that you work with as a leader, is impacted. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next one. So we're gonna work on this. Now this is an example. I'm gonna go through this and then we're gonna take a few minutes. I'm gonna give you a handout and you're gonna work on your own. So every trigger loop starts with a trigger incident. So I'm gonna work, sorry, I know you're taking a picture. Trigger incident, right? This is an example here, but an incident that causes stress, stresses you out, or in this particular case, this person was indecisive about going to a coffee shop or making a purchase or anything that has to be with having to make a decision. Okay? See how it's like it could be a small thing like this. All right? Now, then what happens is when we're stressed about something, immediate thought can come in. And sometimes we might not, like, for example, when, was it your wife's boss? Your sister's brother-in-law, right? When somebody comes in, his blood pressure goes up, right? So, but the thought happens at the same time or almost right before that. Like, oh, I gotta be careful now. Or he could be making a thought up in his head about when his boss walks in. I'm not prepared, or I'm scared, or he doesn't like me. It could be something like that. And then he can make a determination. One can make a determination. I'm not prepared. I'm going to get fired. I'm stupid. I'm going to get fired. It could be these different multiple thoughts happening at one time. Once we've made those thoughts, or an old decision comes in, I'm just not good at this. I'm going to fail. Then we have immediate beliefs, and that's right here for her. Sorry, for this one, immediate thought. For her example, it doesn't make sense to go because I'm not sure if I'm going to fully enjoy it, or I'm not sure if it's worth the investment of my time. So she was trying to just go to the coffee shop to have a different experience from working from home. But she was going over the risks. She was risk assessing, basically. And then she had some beliefs. I don't make good decisions. I'll regret the decisions I make, because she has that belief. I don't make good decisions. So she thinks she's gonna make a bad decision. So she's risk assessing here. She's making these thoughts, and she has this belief, and then she's gonna have an emotional and mental state. These are how she's responding to the thoughts or beliefs. So her emotions were she was feeling frustrated, angry with herself, and ultimately decided to just forget it. I'm not going to go to the coffee shop. Her mental state was she felt overwhelmed. She was ruminating, kept thinking about it, kept going into this, kept going into that, ruminating. And she was multitasking. While she was doing that, she was doing other things. So her mind was all over the place. She was quite scattered in her thinking. And in her experience, this is the frustration she was dealing with. Then what precedes is a physiological response. So now she's jittery. She's feeling very kind of shaky because she's angst up. And she's having shallow breathing. She was just breathing really short. She was noticing, we went through this whole exercise together. And then what precedes is actions or non-actions that she was taking to cope with everything that she was feeling up until that point, okay? And that was she was easily excessively researching options. That's the words where she was multitasking. Should I go to this coffee shop? Should I do this? What, overboard. To imagine we're trying to go to the coffee shop to go to work on something, right? But just think about where you do this in life with when you're trying to make a decision that feels really important and you don't want to mess it up. You don't want to make the wrong choice. And so then she reviews and she tries to make a plan, or she just gives up and does something else instead. And so what we want to do is we want to look at all of these things. Everything leads to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Now, we're going to get to this behavior piece right here. So number 7, autopilot behavior given by steps 2 through 6. So this is how we respond or react to what's happening. Okay, so she was feeling overwhelmed, and then she started feeling hopeless, which is what led to her to give up. She just overwhelmed with trying to make the decision, thinking about all the things, multitasking, doing all the research, and then she was just like, finally she exhausted herself because now her body's trying to shut it down, and she felt hopeless, and then she just ended up giving up. So what we want to identify here is that I want you to know how long anybody here, by a show of hands, somebody could raise their hand, how long you think this took for her in the moment? Like when she was dealing with it in the moment, how long you think all this was?
About a
Minute, 2 minutes, yeah. This literally was going on maybe for 5 minutes, right? But imagine, does this feel like 5 minutes of torture or 5 minutes of happiness? No. Now think about how long it took us to get through 1 through 7 when I worked with her. Would it take me to take a guess? Anybody want to take a guess? 2 weeks? No, not 2 weeks. I'm a little more masterful than that, but it's a good guess though.
About an hour.
An hour. Yeah, well, you guys have some history with me. Well, yeah, it took about an hour to go through this with her, and the reason why I give that example is because 5 minutes of her distress cost her way more than 5 minutes. She's a small business owner, and that cost her way more than 5 minutes. But what it took for her to identify that, she had to invest 1 hour of her time. So, and why I give that example is because what it takes for you to invest in yourself, just like we invest in our businesses and in our cars and in our big TVs and our credit card payments, requires that amount of energy as well. And so we want to account for that and also account for the fees that it costs. Invest in yourself as much as you invest in your highest ticket priced items that you own, because you're worth that investment. So this took, again, an hour. Now we're going to work on the ultimate fear. This is where the real kicker comes in. So the ultimate inner fear, she had the thought, I don't make good decisions. I'm not worthy of trying out or taking chances if it's not going right or perfect. This was a deeper rooted core issue that led to she's feeling unworthy of taking the time to go to the coffee shop, because she can mess up, she can make a bad decision, and then that can impact her business, her family, her bottom line, and ultimately she decided not to go. She shared this with me afterwards, and we used that example. But then what she really got is what she saw is that when she doesn't feel she can't do something perfect, right? Or she's going to make a bad decision, it feels like a real life threat. Like it's going to hurt. And so it's so scary for her. That's why when I said over here, she wanted to risk assess. She was risk assessing, trying to make a decision without making a bad decision, and then trying to think of right decision to make so that she could then make the decision and then go. Do you see how much of a mind entanglement that can be, where you're trying to move through something and you can't because you're too stuck in the weeds. So this is just an example that I wanted to put up here because I wanted you guys to take a few minutes to think about one of your main triggers. And we'll just do a couple examples here. So anybody, now that I've gone through this with you, anybody can think of a main trigger that stops you in your business or stops you from moving forward or taking some action with your business or in your personal life. Yes, thank you.
I see somebody like really accomplished in the same field.
Uh-huh.
I just kind of compare myself.
Comparison. Great. Comparison is a big one. Okay, good. Anybody else? Yes, in the back? Rejection. Yeah. That's a big one, right? Impacts sales, right? Resources. Can you say more about resources? Funding. Yeah. Capital, right? Having capital for your business. Okay.
Or access, just like having the knowledge, like people around you.
Okay, or access, great. Anybody else? Lori?
Overwhelming to-do list.
To-do list. The forever to-do list, yes.
Sudden changes, like unexpected, the client changes their mind
Okay,
when you're like halfway into it and they go,
right,
I don't think I want that now. I want that.
right. Unexpected changes. Nobody deals with that. I had a shoe that broke right before you guys got here. And I was like, how am I going to deal with
I thought you
this?
said you had to shoot somebody.
No, I had my shoe literally broke, but guess what? It's fixed. It's a long story. I'll tell you about that later.
Self-doubting.
Self-doubting. Oh my gosh, nobody deals with that ever. Okay, one more, and then we're gonna move on.
I'm going to spend a lot of time and then they're just going to say no.
So, is it the no or is it the time?
Time and the no.
Okay, so we got rejection, so it's time.
It's like a waste of time.
Waste of time, yes.
Right, waste of time. Okay, great. Really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass out some papers. Can I get some help with passing out some papers? And some pens. I have some clipboards here.
Do you want me to do, what would you like?
Yeah, each clipboard can have a piece of paper and someone can have a pen. And then let me just see how many people we have here. 2, 6, 12. Okay, so you could find a partner or a buddy or a neighbor.
For a little family?
It's not charging.
I just changed the battery setting, but
Oh, okay.
is it this one?
Yeah.
So now it should just stay on.
Okay, cool. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
That was annoying. So I
I
just
know.
hopped
I
on.
know.
I'll take care of you.
Again, I wasn't planning on being on this one. Yeah. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay.
Can we have another pen?
Yeah. 7:44.
Okay. You have a question? Pen. Okay. We need another pen. We need more pens.
Only left 5 more minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay, here. Can you give this to the girl with the glasses? She needs a pen. The girl in the back with the glasses. So we're gonna do a real swift, rough draft of this, guys. Okay, and I'll be giving you my contact number if you guys want to work a little bit closer with this. You can reach out to me. But I want you guys to pair up and see how much you can get through. See how much you can get through this document on your own with your partner. Okay, and raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, we're gonna do this for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
So do we fill this out?
Yep, and I have the example up here. And we also have different triggers up here if you have any other questions on triggers, okay? Yeah. Oh, can we get her a sheet of paper, please? She didn't get one. Yes. We're gonna.
Asking them what their trigger is, or we'll just list down what the first one, what are our triggers?
Yeah, you're gonna work on your own. Everybody, you're working on your own stuff. You're just gonna have your partner in case you feel stuck. Okay, you're gonna ask. This is a practice in asking for help if you feel stuck. So you're gonna work on it yourself. But if you feel stuck with a question, ask your partner first. If you guys can't figure it out, raise your hand and I'll come in. Sounds good? You got it? Okay, pen? You know the pen? Do we have any more pens?
Yeah.
Oh, here. Here you. Thank you. Can I get like until 5 of?
Yeah, they only have 5 minutes.
Try to just get at least through the first 2, okay? First 2. We're gonna work on the first 2. Excuse me one moment. Thank you. You have a question?
Oh yeah, we were asking hi. So she's like her triggers when someone says they're not adequate enough. Yeah? So I would have to put that on my like.
No, you put your own, whatever your own trigger is, that's hers. Yeah. What's your main one? Like the one that you feel like comes up all the time.
I could be successful.
There you go. But is that what triggers you, or is it when you feel like you're not being successful?
When I feel like I'm not being successful.
There you go. Not working? Should we get you another one? Okay. It's working? Okay, good. Okay.
6 and 7.
The action is going to sleep. The behavior can be distracting. For action can be go on YouTube. The behavior could be distracting with social media, right? Distracting with social media or websites.
Distracting and avoiding.
Exactly. One is the action, one is the behavior.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna have to move on because I want to give you the tips how to overcome a few steps. Okay. This is something you're gonna keep with you. Okay. You're gonna keep that, and if you decide we have a call, we'll reference that document. Okay. And we can have some questions afterwards too. Okay. So some of the tips for overcoming these triggers, okay, is going to be awareness. Right now, you have already begun the awareness, filling out that form, identifying what your triggers are, what the immediate thoughts that are coming up. All right, these are unconscious triggers. They're emotional loops where the pattern where you feel stuck. Anywhere you feel stuck, having the awareness of that, and also how you feel in your body when you are triggered. These can be cues or the avoidant tendencies, right? We're avoiding is the behavior. Or defense mechanism. You ever get reactive as defending and not taking ownership of something? That's another behavior. So these are different cues that will tip you off to know that you're in the trigger, okay? And you want to acknowledge the situation or the circumstance, your feelings or your body sensation. I just got rejected. I feel really angry and upset and hurt. My body feels tired. I want to go to bed. You're acknowledging all parts of your being in that moment, and that will help you also get present instead of be reactive. It'll help ground you a bit. All right? Now you want to inquire within. Inquiring within takes, all of this takes seconds when you put it into practice, consistent practice. What do I need to communicate? What would best support me? Do I need to move my energy or move my body? If we're very anxious, we might need to go for a walk. We might need to do something a little more rigorous. Do I need to step out of this environment? Sometimes it's the actual space. I got to get out of here because if not, I'm going to punch somebody in the face. I'm so pissed. Right? Has that ever happened? Never.
No.
Declare it, meaning say it to yourself. Write it down so you know what's there. Awareness. And then get clear or bring clarity to what's actually happening. Because when you write it down, oh, Bob said this, and then I reacted this way. And I don't really know what Bob meant, but because he said that or because he walked in a particular way, I made that mean he's an a-hole, and then I wanted to punch him in the face, right? But now I'm in a reactive mode and making something mean something that I don't really know, or I'm triggered because he reminds me of somebody. The thing is, you want to get real clear on what's happening in reality and what's something from what you're triggered. What is this reminding you of? What does this feel like? You know, I love my dad. When he walks in, I get a particular way. I don't know why. Maybe because he represents an authority, and I want to show the way. I want to fulfill his expectations. Get clear about what's there, but we're not acknowledging it. We can't bypass or dismiss what we're actually feeling. So why acknowledgement is really important. So these are just a few steps to start to overcome these challenges, because without any of these, you're going nowhere, because you need to know what's happening, and you want to acknowledge what's happening, and then you want to inquire what's it reality valid for this present moment, or what's something that I'm making up about what's happening here, and how am I feeling about it.
All right.
What I want to do is I want to a couple shares here. How did it feel to have a space to work through that with someone?
Nice. It was great.
Yeah.
The relatability.
Relatability.
Kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad.
Wasn't so bad, huh?
I mean, other people experience it.
Right. Yeah.
It's just seeing it and learning how to overcome it.
Exactly. That's what happened to me. I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. Okay. Say it again. Release. Yes. How long did that take? It was minutes, literally, because we were clocking it, minutes. And then how did it feel to get support from another person while you were in it?
Hopeful.
Yeah.
Motivated.
There you go.
Inspired.
There you go. All right, LaJoy over there, what you doing?
All right, you need more